some people probably look at it as like, oh, when's this going to stop? You know, this Brazilian storm, the storm, it's turning out to be Armageddon a little bit. Yes. That's amazing. How was it?
First surfer ever on a Big Brother.
No way.
Any Brazilian that would be like world big wave champion, guys like Lucas or Pedro Calado, because we really like received this big swells.
Welcome to a special episode of Red Bull's No Contest and Stabs Unplugged with Mick Fanning and your co-host Ashton. With the World Tour on hold, we'll be taking a look at the WSL World Championship Tour locations that we're currently missing. On this episode, we're taking on surfing's most dominant nation, Brazil, and we'll be meeting two of its young rising stars, João and Lucas Chumbo. This is No Contest Unplugged. This is our second episode of No Contest Unplugged. We're covering the Brazil stop, which would have happened this week. There we go.
Let's do it. Cheers. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah, that sandbar on the south end, that Barinha wave, I think it blew a lot of those guys' minds last year. I think Seth Moniz said that it was like surfing off the wall last year. It was like 6 to 8 foot square coming off the jetty and like they were doing like step offs, and 300 yards up the beach, it was like pretty good, sort of mushy and backwashy and whatever. And everybody was like, why aren't they moving the contest? Mm-hmm. But, and that was actually the first time that we saw João. Was literally walked up and watched that kid stroke into like an 8-foot bomb behind the rock with like calling guys off that were like 75 yards down the wave trying to drop in on him. Like, nah, I got this. And got blown out of the thing.
What a place to make a statement.
Yeah, while the whole World Tour was in town, I think it was pretty huge for him. Do you follow like sort of the younger generation of Brazilian kids as they're coming up? Is that something that you pay attention to right now?
Yeah, look, it's something that, you know, obviously someone like Lucas has come onto the big wave scene and just gone absolutely nuts. I'm always talking to Gabe or talking to the Brazilian guys about, you know, who's up next. They've got some incredible people like Mateus Hurdy. There is this feeder system that's coming through, and João just put his name on the map after last year and during the contest there in Brazil, but then also went over to Hawaii and made a big statement over there. So you do keep an eye on these kids, and I guess it's some people probably look at it as like, oh, when's this going to stop? You know, this Brazilian storm.
It's just the Australians and the Americans.
Yeah, we thought it was just the storm. It's turning out to be Armageddon a little bit. These kids have now laid down a path where it gives confidence to these other kids. Like, hey, we can do this. We know we can. We've seen our other countrymen do it, and they're a powerhouse of world surfing right now.
We did a little tour of Rocinha last year with a couple of local guys that were doing a board drive of the biggest favela in Rio. Have you ever gotten to cruise around any of the favelas when you were there?
I have done a couple of favelas, yeah. I've done the one just above Aprador there. It's such an eye-opener, especially for, you know, coming from Australia or coming from America. Like, that's just not part of our life, but that's the way it is over there. And there's been some incredible surfers that have come out of those favelas as well. You know, for a long time, Brazilians got such a bad rap out in the water, being aggressive and hungry. But then you see how cool they are. I'm a big fan of, you know, those stories that are coming through, and just seeing the success and fighting through the hardship themselves. And it's been happening for years and years. You know, you hear about, you know, soccer greats, and, you know, someone like Pele. He used to kick around pretty much a ball made out of socks, and then he became the greatest player of all time. Like, that stuff is just truly incredible.
And for kids like Lucas and João, you know, for second generation kids, and for the World Tour to be coming to their hometown nowadays, it's really special to have them sort of representing Saquarema on the world stage. I think it means a lot to that town to have those guys, because I feel like it's one thing to be a fan of Brazilian surfers if you're Brazilian, but to have those like hometown guys for that city, you definitely see it when those kids walk around. The trip from Bali to Rio is normally quite the haul, anywhere from 25 to 36 hours of travel time through any number of international routes. But once you land in Rio, it's anywhere from a 2 to 5 hour drive north through Rio de Janeiro state to Saquarema. Lodging is normally ultra affordable when the contest isn't in town. You can find a waterfront spot with great food and strong cocktails for anywhere from $40 to $100. So how old were you guys when Mick won his world title in 2007? Were you guys around there for that?
He was 7. Yeah, I was 7 years old. I was 12. So.
Shit, I just felt real old just then.
Mick, what was your experience going to Saquarema and to the first couple of contests were in Barra de Tijuca, right?
No, so the first event that I did in Brazil was in 2002. First on CT was, and it was at Saquarema.
Yeah, the first one.
And then it was all back then. It was all dirt roads, and yeah, we didn't really know where we were going. We all jumped on a bus, drove together. It was pretty much just the one hotel at the time, and we all stayed together, which was really fun. It was good times. And then from there, we moved down to Florianopolis. In 2003, we ended up going down to Primoli, and then they did it at Joaquina, and then they moved down to Silveira. And from there, we moved down to Imbituba, where it pretty much went on from there until we moved all the way to Rio after that.
When you're talking about surf seasons in Brazil, you have to break it down into 3 separate coasts, north, east, and south. The northeast and north-facing coasts take North Atlantic swells from storms between September and March. The eastern coast, where most surfers live, runs from Rio State to Sao Paulo State, and still gets swell during the winter, but it comes with onshore winds. The rest of the year is less consistent and smaller. You'll find the most consistent quality waves in the south, from Sao Paulo all the way to the Uruguayan border, where the coast is exposed to Antarctic swells from the south, and enjoys consistent morning offshores during high season.
Do you have a favorite spot in Brazil? What's your favorite zone, Mick?
Me, I really like the Florianopolis area. Everyone's super cool, super mellow. It's really good food down there. Yeah, Saquarema was fun too. I was pretty low key at the time. I was just sort of walk from the hotel down to the contest, put on a shirt or a towel and run back.
I could imagine the crowd is crazy. The crowd is pretty huge.
Yeah. But it's not as wild as Rio. Rio's like, I swear the people in Rio are a lot different. They grab you and they like photo, and it's like, you think you're getting attacked. But Saquarema is mellow, and then Florianopolis is mellow as well.
Yeah, we try to keep this like that because Saquarema is more like small city, like calm, relaxed. Just on the comp is like that, but we try to keep more mellow.
Yeah, no, it's a good little beach town. It's cool.
Last year's contest was the first time that we met João. It was during the day that they ran the comp on the north end of the beach when Barra was like pumping.
Saquarema sandbar is notoriously shifty and ridiculously tide dependent, hence the reputation for some of the most treacherous backwash on tour. But the sandbars off the jetty on the south end of the beach, a spot called Bahia, has surprised the surfing world twice now, delivering world-class sandbank pits that made a mockery of last year's Gold Coast event. It's also where I first saw one of our guests, João Chumbo. Last year we snuck off to Bahia on a tip from Ryan Miller. The guys were getting blown out of 6 to 8 foot pits while the CT ran in challenging conditions, just a half mile down the beach. We ran down expecting fun-sized, manageable sandbar pits breaking off the jetty, not guys doing step-offs behind the rock like it was Cyclone Swell Kira. I timed a set, barely got around the jetty as a set stacked up outside. I barely scratched over the wave as I watched João, who I'd never seen in my life, call guys off the wave 75 yards down the line, knife the drop and drive through a barrel that looked more like backdoor off the wall than Bahia. The next wave stood up right in front of me, and with everyone pushed out of position by João's wave, I flipped, stood up clumsily, and was dropped in on immediately by a goofy foot on the shoulder. I got blown up by the next wave, broke my leash, and went in to eat my cocada while João and the boys got blown out of wave after wave.
João, how old were you last year? 17?
Yeah, 17. Before my birthday, pretty much.
And at that time, you didn't have any major sponsors or anything. You were just sort of getting started on the QS and thinking about Hawaii this year?
Yeah. Like last year before the comp, I just got my first victory in Chile on the 3000. And then all that like craziness happened, Bahia pumping every day. Like it was pretty unexpected because I never seen here like that waves here pretty much, and like and the comp, the media and stuff, it was all crazy for me and was like a big jump. But yeah, pretty much. Now we are scoring the other side. Villa is way better.
How soon after the event last year did you start riding for Volcom?
Oh, I started running for Volcom before the primes in Europe. Yeah, I just signed with Volcom like 2 days before my ticket. Like, it was crazy. Like, really crazy. Volcom just said, hey, come to São Paulo. We got something for you. And just like fully signed the contract. Pretty stoked.
I remember seeing you the first morning that you showed up in Hawaii, and we were all so proud of you. It was like your first time staying at the small Volcom house, staying in the dungeon. And those first 2 big swells, I was just talking to a bunch of the filmers, and I was saying that you didn't just make a name for yourself. You were like dominating sessions, and people were like, who is this kid?
Yeah, that first swell was crazy. Do you remember? October 27? I remember like perfectly. Like
I bet
in the calendar, put a star on there. Yeah,
like,
I was ripping that day.
I was proud of like.
Oh, you went for it!
Just fully went to Hawaii early in the season. No expectation for pipeline, like so much sand always, and like 27 huge west swells, like washing out. It's crazy. I just said to Ash like early in the morning. Ash asked me, "Hey, are you pedal out?" And get my 6'5".
Wow.
6'5". Yeah, we are out there, and it was pretty much one of the best day I've seen there. Like, at least pretty empty, like early season. Amazing.
And you were in Portugal, right? Yeah, you were at the Nazare contest, right? I remember FaceTiming with you, Lucas.
Yeah, I was in another comp.
So Mick, for you, over the last 20 years, you've watched a lot of these guys show up to Hawaii with something to prove. What does it take for a kid like João? I mean, I feel like people underestimate the like pressure cooker environment. Being 17 years old, showing up on the North Shore, staying at the Volcom house, a new contract, big West swell. Like, is it easy for you to recall the nerves of those first few Hawaii sessions for you, Mick?
Oh, definitely. It's yeah, even though surfing is such a global sport now, the North Shore is still the proving ground. It's still the place where if you're really going to make a name for yourself, Pipeline's the place to do it. Or kids sending themselves at Jaws and Waimea and that these days. There's so many different variables that go into it, and to have the whole surfing media right there on the beach all the time, you can't hide. And so as a 17-year-old to go over and make a statement, that's huge. That's a huge stepping stone into where your surfing career is going to go.
Can you talk to us about some of the slabs that you guys have been sort of pioneering around Rio? It looks like you guys have quite a few pretty crazy setups. Or can you talk about them yet?
Yeah, here in Sacramento, we have Laje de Manitiba. That's pretty much like our only slab here. We have a slab in Niterói, is like 40 minutes driving, but this slab here at home is pretty like incredible. It's just like the most perfect one, like it's not too much shallow. It's just like more clean. The wave is more perfect on the same spot. So we are scoring every single swell.
Is there like a region in Brazil where most of the better sort of big wave guys have come from? Because I feel like people are very, Florianopolis and, Ubatuba and those areas, a lot of like Felipe's area and Iago's area. It's a lot of really fun little beach breaks, and it gets solid. But I think people underestimate that there are some pretty crazy big waves in Brazil if you want to be a big wave surfer.
I feel guys from Rio have this like this more this like we really like to be in the water when it's heavy like that.
And I feel that's why I come more from here. So it's way better.
Yeah, I feel that if is there anyone, any Brazilian that would be like world big wave champion, guys like Lucas or Pedro Calado, guys from Rio, because we really like receive this big swells is pretty like constant, and that's why South Brazil is sick, but like doesn't get that many swell as us.
So Lucas, I understand that you are considered a national celebrity these days.
So you actually were on Big Brother.
Yeah.
Yes. That's amazing. How was it?
First surfer ever on a Big Brother.
No way.
You will like to see. Everyone takes photo with him.
Really?
I got off in 1 week, so that was amazing.
Right on time for now.
Right on time, because like I got off and I went straight to Nazareth, and then boom, one with Kai. The plans was all perfect.
Mick, did you ever get asked to be on a reality TV show, like sort of in the heydays of those? I feel like the mid 2000s were like the golden era of surfers being asked to be on reality TV shows.
I've been asked to go on a couple. I don't know, but yeah, look, I'm good. I don't need my reality is just going to the beach and going surfing, man. I don't need the whole world to judge me. I'm good.
So Lucas, what did being on Big Brother Brazil do for your profile in the country? Like overnight, how many Instagram followers did you gain?
500,000.
Are you serious?
No, it was like 1 week, 500,000 followers.
Wow. That's like a post from Gabe Medina, huh? He just tags you in a post and you get another 500.
Yeah, it's almost like that.
So at this point, who would be, if you were to rank the most famous Brazilian surfers, what would be like the top 5? It'd be Gabriel, Italo?
It's Gabriel, Pedro, Italo, Felipe, maybe me. I don't know.
It's crazy, hey, that the celebrity around surfing in Brazil is gone nuts. I remember 2014 competing with Gabe for the world title, and he brings out this video, and it's all of the gnarliest celebrities in all of Brazil saying good luck. And it's like, wow, okay, cool. Like, I guess he is a big deal. And and then as soon as he won that world title, his fan base just went through the roof. It was next level.
Yeah, he is next level.
Someone explained to me that at the period of time that Gabriel won the world title, that like Brazil was hungry for a new champion after the World Cup and the Olympics and stuff with soccer. They were like, they needed like a new hero, and that Gabriel was like the perfect guy to step into those shoes.
Yeah, it was pretty huge. Like 2014, like after Gabriel world champion, like was
everything's changed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was like surfing in Brazil has way more credit than ever.
Like the last guy that we can say that was like before Gabriel was Ayrton Senna on the like he passed away.
So
then
they compare.
Yeah, and then Brazil just keeps like needing a hero. And
so is Neymar, Gabriel Medina, and that's it.
Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit of a somber subject, but I felt like it was kind of important. In America, we've been dealing with a lot of upheaval around police brutality. I wanted for you guys to talk about Ricardo dos Santos before his murder by a police officer.
On January 19th, 2015, Brazilian pro surfer Ricardo dos Santos was shot by off-duty military police officer Luiz Mota Brentano. The next day, after 4 surgeries and countless blood transfusions, he died.
What did he represent to you guys? Because Lucas, I do feel like a lot of people compare your approach in heavy lefts and sort of your knack for like finding the craziest left mutant big waves that sort of he was the only other guy that ever sort of had that approach coming from Brazil.
Yeah, he was an idol for us. For sure, he inspired me a lot, like with those waves in Tahiti, Pipeline. And I'm really thankful to have him like before. And I wish we had more trips together. I didn't have the chance. I was a kid there.
Mick, did you get a chance to spend much time with Ricardo before he passed away?
I did. I surfed with him a fair bit, especially in Tahiti and Hawaii. Ricardo was really hungry. He wanted it, and there was he did some incredible surfing, especially places like Pipeline and Tahiti. I think they were the two spots that he really shone. And as you said, it's sort of just another stepping stone for Brazilian surfers to show that, oh, we're actually really good in these waves as well. Yeah, his legacy will live on, and obviously Lucas is using him as an idol, and the stuff that Lucas is doing in places like Nazaré, Jaws, Tahiti, like guys are absolutely nuts, I feel. But yeah, it's great to see that legacy just filter through, and I think we're seeing I think people are taking a real different look at how Brazilians are fully well-rounded now, where back in the day they probably didn't give them that respect.
So Lucas, what's the next like crazy left-hand slab that you've got your eye on?
No, yeah, I never been to Fiji. It's just dreaming. I can't wait for a big swell like that. And I'm ready. Boards are ready. I'm ready. So can't wait for the next trip.
And how about you, João? Are you planning on doing the QS next year and trying to qualify again?
Yeah, for sure. We heard about this regionals QS schedule going on for next year, and it would be cool to get the rhythm like going for the second part of the year.
So Mick, before we go, you promised that you might spill some beans on your 2007 celebration night for your world title.
Yeah, look, it was pretty damn funny, man. We partied. We all drove up to Florianopolis and had this crazy party. And then the next day, I get a knock on the door, and it's Parko. And Parko's like, "Hey, mate, you got to come up." And I'm like, "I'm so sick. He's like, "No, you got to come up to the pool area. You've got to start getting on the Bloody Marys with everyone, and we're going to celebrate another day." And I'm like, "Oh, God, okay." So a couple of Bloody Marys in, like 20.
20? Whoa.
We're sitting there, and we're all flying out the following morning, and everyone was sort of like, "Oh, we got to go and get bikinis for our girlfriends and wives and all that." So we walk across the road from the hotel into the supermarket there, into the shopping center, and we all buy all these we buy all these bikinis. And I was the last one to pay. I was the last one to get out of the store, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're going to go back up to the pool bar and just keep drinking." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll be there in 1 sec." So get my bikinis, and I'm walking back, and I've gone up to the level where the pool was, and I was like, "Oh, I'll do something funny." So I put on one of the bikinis, took off all my clothes, and I'm walking out, and I'm like, "Hey, everyone," just in this bikini, and there's absolutely no one there except the guy who's cleaning the pool. And he just looks at me and just goes, he goes, "Your friends aren't here, man." Yeah. And it wasn't long after that, I was like, "I've got to go to bed."
All right. Well, thank you, boys, for doing this, man. I'm bummed that we didn't get to come down.
Well, stay safe down there, boys, and all the best with everything. Hope this next swell is really fun for you.
I sent you the videos.
Yeah, thank you, Mick. It was a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mick. What a pleasure to have you on the chat.
Yeah, the boys.
Thank you,
care.
boys.
See you, guys.
See you, lads.
For you as a fan, do you look forward to the Brazil event?
Yeah, look, I guess it's different. It's different to every event. I think everyone sort of sits there and cries foul because it's not the perfect reef, or it's not, it's not pipeline, or it's not Tahiti, or it's not perfect point break. It's hard work. It's a hard wave to surf, and but that's what a world tour is about. A world tour is about incorporating all kinds of waves. I think there was a big stigma around Brazil as just being 1 foot waves, just super hard and just boring on that side of it, because they didn't see the quality of waves that were actually there. I think with the change of the schedule, now it's in May, June. That's when they start getting their winter swells, and it gets big, especially in places like Saquarema. Saquarema can hold big waves, and I think that was a really smart move for the WSL to move to Saquarema, and that was the first place that I competed again in 2002 when I first got on tour, and it was the last place that I went to in Brazil before I retired. So it is a really fun place, and it's a small little beach town, but there's some incredible waves.
Well, that's it for No Contest Unplugged Brazil. Next episode, we'll be talking Jeffreys Bay with its current World Tour overlord, Jordy Smith. Jordy's been holed up along with some of South Africa's best and brightest during what's been an all-time winter for waves. We'll also hear about his new family business venture, Smith Shapes, and building the new board brand with his pops, Graham Smith.